in the 1850s, 40s, 50s, the DuPont powder wagons used to come up Rex Lane, down Pennsylvania Avenue, and offload on the Christina River. Well, at some point in time in the 1840s or 50s, the powder wagons, black powder wagons, were supposed to be maybe 100 yards apart, 60 yards apart, just apart from each other. So anyway, I guess it was a leaky powder keg, and you can imagine what the roads were like. They were gravel roads, and the wagons had steel rims on their wagon wheels. So there was this huge explosion, I think down around Delaware Avenue, where the overpass is. I'm guessing, but it was that. And the explosion blew up the powder wagon, and you have little 50-pound powder wagons, and you might have 100 of these things on this powder wagon. So it took out I don't know how many houses, and the city father said, no more powder goes through the city of Wilmington. You're going to have to build your new port somewhere else. So they built DuPont Road, which is a bypass road around Wilmington. It meanders over to Newport. It goes down to Middleborough Manor, and they would offload right there at the Christiana River there. So that's the DuPont Road history. And the Lancaster Pike history dates back to the 1700s, maybe the very early 1700s, perhaps the 1600s. But it was like a path, you know, as I'm told. It was almost like an Indian path. But it's a straight run from here to Lancaster, Pennsylvania. So this big Conestoga wagon, so with corn, barley, wheat, flour, well not flour, corn, barley, wheat, whatever you could grow in Lancaster, was wagoned down to the city of Wilmington, up Market Street, over to Superfine Lane, where we know Superfine Lane is where the old Brandywine powder mills were. So that's basically the history. And Newport was built. The Newport was basically the Newport for the black powder. Okay, so the old place was sitting there in 1929. It was empty, and my grandfather bought it in 8 acres for $20,000. Now, $20,000 doesn't sound like much, but in 1929 he put $20,000 down to buy that in 8 acres. The property went down to the railroad tracks and over to the ball field. And in 1933, Prohibition was repealed. We ended up with the Jackson Inn with the tavern on the first floor. Yeah, my grandfather's pretty clever. He's one of the first 13 men to fly for naval aviation. And he was the guy, he sat in the second seat. My father said, you know, your grandfather kept the plane flying. The guys that wore the white scarves, they sat in the first seat. These are biplanes now. And my grandfather sat in the back seat. So he left the Navy before World War I because he wanted a commission, and he didn't get the commission, so he said the hell with it. He just walked out of the Army, Navy Air, and traveled. And then he saw this place. It was 8 acres plus the old home, and you know, his friends and relatives saying, "Fred, you're crazy, buying way out in the country. You don't know what you're doing." He said, "Just leave me alone. I know what I'm doing." So at 33 hit, Prohibition's repealed. Jackson Inn was one of the first people to get their liquor license, and the tavern was downstairs of the old tavern there, and the family lived upstairs. Then 1945 came along. I don't know how many Italians we got in the room, but these Italians kept hammering on my grandfather to sell them the back property because they wanted to build a cannery, and they were Italians from Avondale. They were called the American Mushroom Company. So Pop sold back acreage, which is about 5 acres, and they also had the train side track so they could ship their stuff out. So it ran as a cannery, and people owned a cannery. They also had caves up in New York. Now they grow mushrooms in caves. I don't know if anybody knows that. But about a year ago, this guy came into Jackson and he had on a three-piece suit and looked very official. And it was so cool because he said he was about 95 years old, but well-dressed, well-spoken. And he said, I own that. I own that cannery, and we also own caves in upstate New York to grow mushrooms. So I thought that was kind of fascinating. So anyway, we talked a little bit. Never seen the guy since. He just added a factoid to my life story. So, now it's 1945. He sold the back acreage to the mushroom company. We've got the front acres. We've got 3 acres on this side of DuPont Road going up to the ball field. And, Jackson Inn's been, we've been through a lot. We've lasted. There were years I didn't take a dime out of business because it was more important to pay your bills than it was to pay yourself. And I realized something about, I'm basically a photographer. So I always consider whatever we sell here is like selling film. You got to sell film. You got to do this. You got to do that. To make it to make an income. So anyway, it's now it's 19. I was born 40 now, so I'll be 70 in November. And Eva, they're listening. Okay? Don't rush the general. So anyway, like I said, the business sat till 1959, the old place, and the old place was, like I said, when I was a little kid, you could sit in the window well because the walls were 3 foot thick, and it had a giant hearth down the basement because it was a hotel, and had a mysterious staircase in the cellar that we figured that was for the Underground Railroad. So anyway, in 1959, the Holiday Apartments, this is my grandfather, Mr. Bourdon, we're going to have to tear down your 300-year-old tavern. My grandfather said, not till I have a place built behind it. So you're sitting in the 1959 version of the Jackson Inn. And I'm standing on what I believe to be the 3rd generation of Jackson Inn, which is this stage.
Yes.
This stage, because I was all set to sell last year. I wanted out. I wanted so much not to come to work at night. Even we fight. She blamed me for not having business. I blame her for not having business. And then we go to Kid Shalene's for dinner after that. So, kind of silly, but you get the idea. So, I had one guy say, Freddie, I know how much you like Cape May. I like Nantucket too. But he says, look, I'll build you a house in Cape May, give you what you want for your corner, and we'll be done with it. I said, man, you can't get an offer like that nowadays. Another guy, another billionaire, said, look, because they want the land. They don't want the Jackson Inn. They want this corner. So another guy said, look, I'll give you whatever you want for the place, and I'll give you a stipend to live on monthly until you're ready to turn the place over. And I said, hey, that's not a bad offer either. So Eva says to me, Freddie, this band, the Cox, they're a trio, and they want to build you a stage. And I told Eva, I said, look, I could be gone in 6 months. I don't care what you do with the place. So Eva says, all right, I'll tell them that they built this stage, and the first night we had the stage built, the bar was full. All the booths were full, and the stage was full of musicians. And I thought it was a fluke. When you're in this business, you look at certain diamonds or gems that bring money to you. And one of those gem nights is the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. So that's a wonderful night for the tavern business. The kids are home from college, and families getting together for Thanksgiving, and they all come here and kibitz and talk and drink and stuff. And anyway, so that's the way that first night in August was, first Wednesday night. And I said, It's got to be a fluke. The next Wednesday night, it happened again. The Wednesday after that, it's happened again. And the Wednesday is all happening. And it's still happening. And Eva got this idea that we had comedians come in and say, look, you want to do some stand-up? And so they would do the stand-up after the music played. And then the musician said, you know, there's comedians, they kind of suck the air out of the room, you know? So Eva said, let's give them their own night. So their own night is Thursday night. So we have a guy named Guy Scialdi. He's a stand-up. He's from Wilmington. A lot of people know the Scialdi last name. But he goes to Philly. He gets a slate of, what kind of like what Bob does. He gets a slate of 5 Philly comedians. And then when they get done doing their stuff, people in the audience stand up and do theirs. There's the list on the board to tell you how many comedians were here to do their stuff after the Philadelphia comics sat down. So, you know, that turned into a wonderful night. So we had 2 wonderful nights, Wednesday and Thursday. And last night we had a band here. It was 2 bands. One was called Cadillac Riot. The other one was called the Brew Merchants.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, they were excellent. I mean, they were, you know, the first band was out of Philly, really, really tight. Second band was really tight, and they sounded like Santana, some of their songs. I said, man, all those chords, they sound like they're from the black, you know, what's that, the black-hearted woman, let's see, what's that Santana song called, Black
Magic.
Black Magic Woman.
No, not Black Magic.
Anywho.
Anyway, it's Black Magic Woman. So, and the guy was sitting next to me says, yeah, probably could be some of those chords. So that was as recent as last night, and the place again was back. You know, and Bob's been so good to us over the last, I'm guessing 10 years, Bob. Has it been 10 years or longer? Yeah. And you know, even we've been immortalized in some of the poetry that stands up here. And you know, it's just a nice thing. I mean, so many people are thanking me for not selling. You know, we have a plethora of very, very talented musicians in Wilmington, in Newcastle County, in the Philly area, and I'm sure, I can't remember your name. You. Kenny, yeah, Kenny. And you know, I'm sorry. There's 3 heart attacks and congested heart failure kind of throws my memory out. So, you know, I'm sure Kenny knows the quality of the musicians that are in this town. So, I guess I'm forgetting why I'm standing up here now. Okay. Rob, thank you. Robin's putting on a cabaret soon, and we're having our 90th anniversary party next Saturday. Next Saturday, 90 years, the family's been on this corner. So, with that, I will repair to the bar, and hopefully somebody will save me from keep talking. Thank you.
Thank you, Daddy.